Hey, back doing another movie review today. I'm gonna do another series review. Today I'm gonna start with Scream One out of the Scream series. Now Scream One was made in 1996. Stars Nev Campbell, David Arquette, Patricia Arquette, or not Patricia, sorry. Nev Campbell, David Arquette. It's got Courtney Cox in it. Skeet Ulrich, Matthew Lillard, and it's also got Drew Barrymore in it. Now, this movie came out when I was a teenager, and always enjoyed this movie. Um, Actually, I really like all the sequels. Well, I don't really like all the sequels, but um, they're pretty good. As the series whole, I'd say I'd like the whole series. They're pretty decent. So this one when it came out, was it was a big hit. Um, it was Wes Craven directing it. Did the Nightmare on Elm Street series, the original Hills Have Eyes, um, Last House on the Left. I mean, the guy's got a resume a mile long, uh, for good movies that he's done. Um, Now this one was definitely the best out of the four that they made. Um, the beginning of it is really neat. It's got Drew Barrymore in it, and it kind of plays an homage to Psycho a little bit. Where you got your Janet Leigh character, and you think she's going to be your main your main character, and she ends up dying. A quarter of a way through the movie. And you get the same thing with Drew Barrymore in this one. You think she's the main character, and she ends up dying in the beginning. And the way she dies, I mean, she gets gutted, excuse me, and hung up by a tree. And her insides are like outside, and it's just pretty brutal, especially for that time. That was pretty nasty. Um, I always remember this movie because I remember taking this movie home to my mom, and we were always kind of like horror buddies growing up. We would watch some of the newer ones. I'd bring them home and have her watch them. And I just remember taking this one home to her, and she was kind of reluctant at first. She didn't really want to watch it. And then I made her watch it, and she was blown away by it. Uh, just one of those movies, comes out every once in a while. That's just good. It was original at the time. And so yeah, basically, plot of it is, I guess, is what you'd say, is that you got this killer who calls people, and so basically, it's got Drew Barrymore in it. It starts off with her at home. She gets a phone call. She's like making popcorn, getting ready to watch a movie. She gets a phone call. The guy seems somewhat nice at first, and then and then she's like, "Well, I gotta go," and he's like, "You hang up on me, and I'll gut you like a fish," and and it kind of goes from there, and he ends up killing her, and he kills her boyfriend, and basically, he wants to play a game with her. It's all about with these killers in this movie. It's all about kind of playing a game with them, at least in the first one, it was. You answer a question right and you live. Well, actually, it's you answer a question right, you die. If you answer the question wrong, you die. So it doesn't really matter. They're gonna kill you either way. But so you got Nev Campbell being your lead character. It's all about her, And I think when she did this, she had just come off of Party of Five. I remember that show being on in the '90s on TV. Um, and so you got her being your lead character in this. Her boyfriend is Billy Loomis, played by Skeet Ulrich. Seems like a pretty nice guy. Got a lot of red herrings in this movie. You're not really sure who the killer is all the way until the end. And you got Courtney Cox, who's like a news reporter, journalist, tabloid type lady. And you got Rose McGowan, who plays Tatum Riley, who's Dewey Riley, who plays by David Arquette. He's he's a deputy in the town for the sheriff's department, and that would be her brother, Rose McGowan's character, Tatum. And Tatum actually is Sidney Prescott's best friend in this movie. And then you got Matthew Lillard, who's just kind of a friend, a friend of everybody's in this. They got kind of a group of characters, where they all are hanging out. Trying to think, there's another guy in here, and I know his name, but I can't think of it offhand. And it's not showing up here on my thing. Who's another friend of theirs? He's not a main character in this one. He's just a friend, but I'm trying to think of his name because he plays more of a role in the second one. I mean, he's in this one and he's in here a lot, but he plays not Stu, but Stu is played by, I don't know, I can't remember. Anyways, so you got this killer basically calling people, and he goes after Sidney Prescott later through the movie, and yeah, you're just trying to figure out like who this killer is. Oh, and you also got in this movie the Fonz. You got Henry Winkler in this movie. He plays the principal of the high school, which I thought that was pretty cool when I seen it, because I kind of grew up in the Nick at Night at night reruns from the 80s and 70s and all that, and so I watched a lot of Happy Days, and I remembered Henry Winkler from Happy Days playing the Fonz there. So it was cool to see him in there. Yeah, I mean, and you got the writer Kevin Williamson, who got a lot of acclaim for this movie, which rightfully so. It was a pretty good script. You got this killer who just psychologically fucks with people, and it's great. Wears a ghost face. I don't have, this is the Scream 4 cover that I have, but that's kind of what his face looks like. If you've never seen these movies before, it's a ghost face. Yeah, and it's just really good. It's hard to break it down into a plot for you, because I'm not real strong at breaking plots down. My reviews are usually all over the place. People might not like that, but that's just the way I do it. Yeah, so you got this guy and he's killing people, and you don't know if it's just one person or if it's two. But basically, you end up finding out at the end that Sidney's character ends up finding out at the end, because a year before all these murders are taking place now, in this town, I can't even remember the name of the town now. See, this is what I mean. When I go to do reviews, like, my mind just goes blank sometimes. And I can't remember shit, and I don't know why. But that's just the way it is. Woodsboro. That's the name of the town. Yeah, Woodsboro. Okay. So anyways, you got this you got this Neve Campbell character, Sidney Prescott. Well, a year before all these murders started taking place in Woodsboro, her mom got murdered a year before all this happened. So she's kind of traumatized by all this still. Her boyfriend, Billy Loomis, is getting a little, like, impatient with her, they're teenagers, he's a teenage boy. We all know what teenage boys want, they want to try and get in their girlfriend's pants. And typically, if they're not going to give it up, we find somebody that will. And he seems like a real nice guy. He's patient with her, seems a little weird, but you just think that's just the way he is. And he ends up getting arrested later on. The killer ends up showing up at Sydney's house and tries to kill her. Almost succeeds. Dewey and the sheriff's department show up and kind of spoil his plans. And Skeet Ulrich, Billy Loomis, kind of shows up out of nowhere. And he got a cell phone that drops out of his pocket and stuff. You think he's the killer. Well, he ends up getting arrested. They run his phone records and all this. They put him in jail and come to find out he didn't make those phone calls and it wasn't him. And then you got Courtney Cox's character, Gail Weathers. She's trying to get a story. At the end of the movie, they all have this big bash at this like dorm. I don't know. It's not a dorm. It's like a big frat house, I would think. That's where Stu's character lives and all that. And so you got that. You got some memorable characters in here though. Like one of my favorite characters in here, and I can't even remember. It's the dude I was just talking about. I couldn't find him. And I'm gonna look him up real quick because he's one of my favorite characters. And I think his name's Randy, but I can't remember what his real name is. And then you got this Cotton Weary character named played by Liev Schreiber. You don't really see him a lot in this movie. He plays a bigger role in the sequel, but he was convicted of killing Sydney's mom. So he's in prison because of her, and because he killed her mom. Everybody thinks. You got Henry Winkler in here. You got, but where the hell is this guy I'm looking for? It's not Ryan. Chris Kennedy no, Jamie Kennedy. Okay, there he is. Jamie Kennedy played by, Randy. Randy's interesting because he's like, you think he's the killer, because he works at a fucking movie store. He's into horror movies. He knows everything about them. He's one of my favorite characters. I love him. I think he's funny. It's just great. I especially liked him in the sequel because he plays a bigger role in that one. He's more of a principal character. And then he ends up getting killed off in the second one, which sucked because I thought it would have been cool to see him in the third one, which we do end up seeing him in the third one, but it's in like a video flat. It's not a flashback. It's a video that he had made later on. But anyways, so you got this bash at this house at the end of it all, and you got Sydney's there. Everybody shows up. Her best friend there, Tatum. And Dewey ends up showing up because he's kind of like just watching, watching out because there's all this strange shit happening in town. People are dying, and there's a killer on the loose, and they can't figure out who it is. And then like Sydney's dad is gone. He went on a business trip at the beginning of the movie, and they can't find like where he's at, the hotel that he was supposed to be staying at. Like he's not there. The cops can't find him. So he's a red herring too. You think maybe he's like, you find out that his wife died a year earlier. Maybe he flipped out on their anniversary and like maybe he's going around trying to kill everybody and shit. Maybe that's what's going on. And, like I said, they got this party at the end. Everybody ends up dying, except for Nev Campbell and Randy. Randy ends up getting shot at the end and almost dies. But come to find out, it's her boyfriend Billy and his friend Stu. They're the ones dressed up like this ghost killer going around killing everybody, and they're trying to kill Sydney. Billy's trying to kill Sydney because Sydney's mother was screwing his dad, and that was the reason his mom left, and screwed up his whole thing at home, and it pissed him off, screwed up his life, and now he wants revenge on her. He killed, and then come to find out, he framed Cotton Weary, the guy that's in prison for killing her mom. They framed him, and Billy really killed her mom. And so all this comes out at the end, and like it's just a huge surprise. And of course, it comes after she already slept with him and gave him his virginity and all that kind of shit. And it's just got a good twist at the end. I mean, if you've never seen this movie before, or when you saw it when it first came out, it was like, well, damn, that was that was good. And so yeah, I mean that's basically the plot of it. The killer ends up dying at the end. Both of them die. It's pretty good. Just a lot of good scenes. I mean, I don't know. I since like the last half of it takes part in like it's kind of in the woods almost. It's set back like it's not in the woods, but it is. It kind of reminded me of almost like a Friday the 13th movie in a way, because you got this killer stalking these people, and just the way that he gets them, like Tatum, her friend there, dies, like getting sucked up into a fucking elevator, and they're like, she gets twisted all around, and it's a pretty cool kill. Yeah, and you got a lot of memorable lines. Skeet Ulrich, Billy Loomis played an awesome. I thought he was an awesome villain. There's a part where you're not sure who the killer is, and killer walks in and and stabs Billy right after him and Nev Campbell just getting on having sex. Killer walks in, stabs him, and so you think, well, there's no way he's the killer then, he's dead. And you got Stu, and you got Jamie Kennedy's character outside, Randy, outside, and she's getting attacked by the killer. She runs inside, locks the door, and then you got those two running up to the door as she's closing it, and you're like, fuck, because they're both her friends, so she doesn't know who to trust. And so Billy comes stumbling down the stairs. You think he's dead, but he's really not. Comes down the stairs. He looks like he's bleeding and shit. He opens up the door, lets Randy in, and he ends up pulling out a gun and fucking shooting him. Sydney's got the gun. She gives it to her boyfriend Billy, and he ends up fucking blasting the guy in the shoulder. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I love that line. Where right before he shoots him, he's like, "Stu's flipped out. He's gone mad." And Billy's like, "We all go a little mad sometimes." Boom! He uses the line from Psycho. I thought that was fucking cool. So yeah, I mean, this is just like one of my favorite horror movies. As far as like in the '90s, and I don't know, it's in my top list. It's definitely up there. It's good. A lot of people I know over the years have kind of bashed these movies, saying that they're unrealistic and they're stupid and whatever. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a horror movie, and they're all really unrealistic. I mean, it's a fucking movie, like you're supposed to just let it go and just look at the movie for what it is, so anyway, I don't want to get too long on this review. I know I'm pushing 20 minutes here, but if you've never seen it, definitely check it out. I'm gonna keep talking about these movies. The next review will be on Scream 2, and yeah, that's all I got to say about this one. Thanks.